That's why you need to get and believe in a car. Okay, so I do believe in cars now, and I did get a car. Soon after I left, I ended up getting a 92 Grand Am, and I drove that car proudly for about a month and a half until I totaled it. And I was driving down the road. The right front wheel got off into the grass. I was going around the curve. I wasn't going too fast for the curve. And so I overcorrected to the left and I started spinning. Next thing you know, I'm rolling, and I ended up upside down on the side of the road right next to this big ravine. And luckily my car had come up against a tree and had stopped, but it had barely gotten stopped. So I was very lucky, and my driver's side window actually was busted out, and I was able to crawl out of the window after I undid my seatbelt. Luckily I had my seatbelt on. And I was able to crawl out of the window to safety. And I was very lucky, my first car. And 16 days later, I wrecked my second car. So after I wrecked my first car, I got an insurance payout for like $1,300 after my $500 deductible. And I had paid $2,500 for the car, and I wasn't done paying it off. I was making payments, I think it was like $500 a month, because I didn't have any money saved up when I left. And all my money went to getting my license. Within a month of leaving, I wanted a car, but I didn't have, I didn't have the money. So this was my foreman that I worked for. It was his girlfriend's car. He said, it's okay to make payments. So I used some of that insurance money to pay my fines for failure to control a vehicle. And then I also used the rest of it to pay off the rest of what I owed Roman and Carol. And then I found this, I wrecked my first car on a Saturday. Almost 2 weeks later, on a Friday afternoon, I bought this 1985 Ford Escort. It had a hole in the muffler. It sounded like a semi-truck, a little hatchback. Didn't have a heater. It was in November. It was cold, and I was like, $250, what is there to lose? And I was driving that car for 2 days before I wrecked it. So on Monday morning, I was on my way to work, and the boss hadn't showed up yet. I was down by Johnstown, so I was taking State Route 62 into Johnstown to get a coffee and like a donut or something. And there was this crew pumping concrete walls, and they had this big pump truck set up off to the left, and they had all these concrete trucks lining the driveway, and I was kind of watching them, not paying attention to where I was going, and watching them. I knew I should look back at the road, and I finally looked back, and there was a concrete truck stopped on the road with a car sitting behind this concrete truck. And I slammed on my brakes, and I had never had anti-lock, or brakes that didn't have anti-lock brakes before. And my brakes locked up. I went in, slid into this other car, basically rear-ended this other car. And my bumper was real low on that car, and it went in under her bumper and smashed my radiator in. She had a little scratch on her bumper. That was about it. But my car got basically totaled. It would have cost about $600 or $700 to fix it. So I ended up paying the tow truck driver that showed up. I paid him $50 and gave him the car to pay for the tow. And so that was the story of my second car, my 1985 Ford Escort. My insurance lady yelled at me. She was like, you Amish kids think you can just come out here and it's like driving a buggy. She said, it's not that way. And I said, I know. I'll be more careful. And I have not had, knock on wood, I've not had another accident that was my fault. So let's hope and pray that we can keep it that way.